Hello, everybody.
Our leader of education this morning. How
Oh
are
my
you?
gosh. We were just talking about LeaderCast. Have you all got your tickets to LeaderCast yet?
Get them.
It's really worth it. Really worth it, everybody. Well, good morning. So today is kind of interesting. It's all about why. Why? Why do we do it at Lockerbie? That's my first question. My second one is, why do we say Lockerbie College is a family? What's so special about family? And I want to move from there to why we do it the way that we actually do it. So I want to go back to why do we do it at all? Well, it all started with me. Back in 2002, I knew that my child needed to be taught differently and it didn't exist. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. And eventually in 2005, we started Learning for Life. My partner Catherine Eldaher and myself, because we just wanted something that didn't exist. And that happens a lot, you know, Ginelle. I mean, look at the Amber Alert and all the things that are out there. Mm-hmm. Parents come to the rescue of societies because something's needed for their child and it doesn't exist. So our mission back in 2005 when we opened our doors is pretty much the same mission as it is today. The why we go to work every morning. We go to work to change lives by providing solutions, fulfilling potential, and broaden perspectives. And we go to work because we want our students to ask that wonderful question, why? Our mission hasn't changed, you know, although our demographic has changed, and that's kind of interesting. Why is it that in 2005 when we opened up, we were 85% remedial and catered to that, and 15% mainstream, and by 2008, just 3 short years later, we were 85% mainstream and 15% remedial. Why is that? It's because when there is special ed training at the foundation of all teaching, certain things happen. There is a deep understanding of how learning takes place in any mind, in any child's mind. Yes, teachers have to understand the pedagogy of child development and learning and that kind of thing, but unless you're special ed trained, and often it's because there's a member of your family, or there's a close friend, or there's a burning passion to make the impossible possible. Something has happened in your life that's put you in that place. You literally have been placed in God's hands to do great work that you cannot get down from. That's at the core of special ed. And it's because you have a deep understanding of how kids learn that special ed training is such a great foundation for all teaching right across the board. When you are special ed trained, it doesn't mean that you only teach children with severe learning challenges or disabilities. You actually understand the behaviors that underpin learning and the behaviors that underpin behavior, what manifests in the classroom so clearly that you can cut through them. You can provide security, you can provide boundaries, you provide whatever it is the child needs so that the child actually then comes to the table prepared and wanting to learn. How to teach thinking and open pathways is really important in special ed. And taking experiences and making them relevant, making learning relevant is really important in special ed, as is breaking down information into manageable chunks so that a child doesn't take a giant step and get lost along the way. They take those gradual steps, building skills, teaching skills to acquire knowledge, to acquire all those things that we don't directly learn, all those abstract concepts and that kind of thing. All of that becomes the reason why a special ed teacher actually goes into a classroom and knows what to do. So Learning for Life and then Lockerbie College was built on this special ed principle that special ed teachers have this array of this basket of skill sets that actually creates a fertile ground for learning to take place in, whatever whatever curriculum you're teaching and whatever manifestation of brain comes your actual way. Now, when you think about it, schools have two purposes, but you can't have both. Every school has a purpose, but there are two purposes in all, but you can't have both. The first purpose is, I'm going to teach students what to think. There's a curriculum out there that's necessary for them to learn this information for their life, and I'm going to take it to them, and I am going to teach students. My school is going to teach students what to think. I am going to teach them how to pass exams. I am going to teach them how to write and to debate and to discover things, and I'm going to teach them the what of learning. And what's happening is that sounds great. That sounds absolutely great, that children go to school to be told what they have to learn, because schools are supposed to be developing, and what you need to learn in 1890 is different from what you have to learn in 1920. So schools are there for children to go to learn what they need to know. The problem is that creates dependence, and it enables the students to rely on an external factor for knowledge. And it builds in them an entitlement that things are going to come to them, and knowledge coming to them is a bad entitlement to develop. It's like serving education on a plate, and guess what? You don't have any choice of the food that's put on that plate. You know, I always marvel, Gaynell, when you see some women still getting plates of food for men, and I'm thinking, well, how do they know what they want? You know, because no buffet is the same, right? That's what it's like when your child goes to a school where the focus is on what you need to know. The food is being put on the plate, and the student doesn't have any say in whether or not they like tripe. Yeah? Now, a school that does that invests all of its energy, its teacher training, its resources, everything in presenting the student with what they need to know. That's not Lockerbie. If you want your child to be presented with a plate of food, a diet of education, don't even think about Lockerbie. Lockerbie was designed to broaden perspectives and to fulfill potential. And because of that, we teach children how to think. What they think about is immaterial. We teach them how to think. They need to go shopping for themselves to that supermarket of knowledge, and they need to apply what it is they're interested in to the criteria of how they need to use it so that it's functional and it's purposeful and it's meaningful for their entire life. Let's face it, when you go to school to prepare for life. So if school isn't preparing you for life, then what's the purpose of school? Yeah? If there's no relevance to it, what's the purpose of school? So when you go to school, it teaches you what to think. That school is actually controlling your life. Controlling your thoughts controls your life. When you go to a school where you're taught how to think, and you're given that freedom of how to think, you are empowered and you are given purposeful tools with which you can independently think, and you are now no man's slave. You're no man's slave to what they want you to know and want you to do. You may chain my hands and shackle my feet, but you will never enslave my thinking because it is free. Yeah? So that's the purpose of it. That's the big why. Think about how babies learn. Yeah? How do babies learn? They stand up, they hold on to that playpen, and they shake, 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 shake. Or they crawl and they go into your lower kitchen cupboards, and what do? They get out all the pots and pans. They drag them out. Pradalax. They drag them out. And then if you give them a spoon, what are they going to do? Smack them. They're going to smack them. They're going to make noise. They're exploring their world. They reach out even at just, before they even have bifocular vision. They're reaching out and they're reaching for your face. They're looking to go and feel their world. Why do they do that? Because the brain is trying to find out why. It's trying to discover the magic and the science and the tools that they're going to need to develop to take them successfully through their life. So there's a very big difference between teaching children what to think and teaching children how to think. That's what Lockerbie is actually all about. I want to tell you the story about a terrapin. So my son and I'm dropping him to school. He's 13 years old. He goes to Harrison College, went to Harrison College at that time, and he was doing classification of living organisms. So he says, Mom, I'm really anxious about this test, drop me to school. So two of us are heading off to HC, and he says, okay, here's my book, hear me, my classification of living organisms. So I look at the textbook and I say, okay, so tell me about the animal kingdoms. And he starts to recite, because he knows that he is going to be given a test in which he has to put down what he has been told to learn. So he tells me, oh, well, we got an animal kingdom, we got a plant kingdom, we got a this, and we got the Latin names, and we got a that, and we got a that. And I said, okay, just stop right there. Stop right there. I turn the page over, and I see a terrapin. So I said to him, why does it look like that? And he goes, but no, we're not going to be tested on that. I said, I don't care how you're going to be tested. I don't even care if you pass or fail. I care how you think. Why does a terrapin look like that? Because just looking at it can tell you if it's a land animal. Well, first of all, if it's an animal or a plant. Why does it have that color? Why does it have a shell? Why is its mouth so strong? Why does it have these like webbed feet? Why is the underside of the shell yellow and the top side of the shell like brown? Why? Why? It was 40 minutes from home to school that changed his life. Because in those 40 minutes, he cut channels in his thinking that made him inquire about the big picture. How do I need to think about this? And why do I need to think about it differently? So yesterday, I had a Form 5 class, and it was English, and we were practicing our argument for CXC coming next week. The question was, the argument point, with more inventions like the computer, teachers will no longer be needed. You have to argue for it, or you have to for that argument, or you have to argue for that statement, or you argue against that statement. This was really interesting because I have these Gen Y millennials in my classroom, and they love their computers, and they're always on their phones, and it's torture to drag their phone away from them in the morning. And they're always up there, they're playing games, and they're doing their own research. At school is just, well, school at Lockerbie isn't that boring because we're very techie, and they're always being challenged as to why do you think this, and how are you supposed to think, and we flip our classroom so that we say to them, okay, today this is your topic, and you need to provide me with a podcast at the end of 60 minutes. So, I mean, they're accustomed to doing things really differently, and this was their conclusion. Computers are great, but human teachers give them, at Lockerbie, security that they would miss if they only had technology-driven learning. So I said, why? I said, you're talking about like America where they now have bunkers in classrooms and that kind of thing. No. Like psychological security. I said, seriously? They said, yup. They said, who else is going to tell us when we've done well? I mean, who else is going to tell us when we need to fix something? Who else is going to guide us? I said, oh, so the secret is that you all don't want teachers in the old-fashioned sense of the word. You want facilitators, right? You want learning facilitators. And that's what they came up with. Because you see, it's all about the evolution. The same way that Learning for Life evolved into Lockerbie College with a foundation of how to teach kids how to think, which is the foundation of remedial learning. We took that and we evolved it into mainstream learning, just like that tortoise evolved to have the color in its shell that it actually has. So Lockerbie is a family, and we've evolved over the years. And next week I'm going to talk a bit more about that, because families are strange and wonderful things. And there's a reason why we have a sign up at Lockerbie saying it takes a village to raise a child. You know, families are not just those you're born with. Families are those that you choose to bring close to your heart. So that's going to be our topic next week. But this week, I need you to ponder on, is your child learning how to think? or just being fed a diet of what to think? How well are they prepared for life? Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Julia. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Good morning to the Lockerbie family. Right now it's 8:01. Business News is next.